Hello everyone and welcome to today's video where we are going to be painting. Let's zoom out a little bit because this canvas is huge. It is a 16-inch by 20-inch weirdly shaped oval that I am so excited to start painting. It has been a hot minute since I've painted literally anything and it is my favorite thing to do. So I'm super excited but also super nervous because this canvas is huge. But I'm very excited to start creating something. So I grabbed a colored pencil. I like to use a colored pencil even though I was scared to sketch on this because it just creates this nice base and background for my paint later, because if it blends into the background, that's great, and if it makes the paint a little bit pink, that's okay. I love a good pink moment. But if you use a pencil, it will kind of blend and make your paints muddy and smear them and make them gray. So I went ahead and put up my painting on an easel, that way the sketch wouldn't be distorted because it was laying flat, and then I just finished sketching out my design, which hopefully you can tell are ballet shoes. I want to do this really aesthetic and dreamy painting of ballet shoes and just make them look pretty and whimsical, and I'm super excited to finally start painting. For paints, I use Liquitex Professional's heavy body acrylics, and I just use them in the primary colors plus white. This gives me the freedom to just mix all of my own colors and bring my vision completely to life and make me feel like I've created an original piece. I do also use the occasional pre-mixed cheaper paint. We've got some paintbrushes here. My husband got me these ones for Christmas, and of course you're going to need some water and a giant paint palette. So let's get painting. The first thing that I'm doing is putting a layer of the pre-mixed blue down and just kind of creating a base for my paint. This just makes all of the paint that's going to go on top of it apply a lot smoother, and it also helps not make all of that white space so intimidating, because I was just kind of looking at that and getting really scared. But once I had the underpainting done, now we can get a little bit more serious about our colors. So I put down all of my primary colors and try to do it aesthetic, but the white was giving me trouble, and then it was time to start painting pretty much just another base layer. I definitely see painting as a building up of a lot of layers at once. I never go in and just try to make a piece right away. I try to just build up and get the vision and get the vibes and see where it takes me and see what happens. So right now I'm just laying down a whole bunch of colors that I think I want in this, knowing that there's going to be a lot more adjustments coming up. You might not have known this about me, but painting is actually my favorite art form to create in. I love creating pictures on canvases and doing this kind of more of a fine art approach. I don't do it often because it takes a lot of time and intention, and it's also really stressful because I put a lot of pressure on creating the perfect piece. But one of my goals for 2024 is to create more original artworks and paintings. So this was super scary, but also giving me life. Like, I was super excited to finally be creating a painting. I seriously think that it potentially may have been years since I've done something like this, to try and create an actual completed finished art piece that I would see and put in a specific category, which is just me. But I was feeling so excited about this, and I was also really scared because I was like, what if I lost it? You know, the it's that I perceived that I had before. What if I had regressed in my progress? Like, all of these thoughts were going through my head. It was actually kind of stressful to paint because I was really scared that I was going to create just an ugly monster of a painting, but I was actually pretty happy with it. I got my base paints on and I was feeling good. Like, you can tell with these hand motions here, I was feeling it. I was very excited about it. I also was feeling very inspired by like a ballet core kind of theme and aesthetic, which I know ballet is a lot of work. It's not just an aesthetic or an image, but it just has such beautiful imagery, and I was feeling so inspired by that. I wanted to create a whimsical feel and a pretty vibe, just like a lightweight ballerina, beautiful aesthetic with bright colors and contrast. And so I was feeling really excited about this, and I just was feeling like it was coming to life. I was feeling a lot. Count how many times I just said feeling. You can imagine lots of emotions, lots of excitement. In terms of background, I definitely think that I was a self-taught artist. I did have a little bit of experience in college painting, but I think for that we didn't have a lot of guidance or teaching, but we had a lot of practice time. The classes were 3 hours long and happening twice a week. So as you can imagine, that's a lot of time to learn different things and try different things and just experiment in different ways. And there's a lot less pressure when it's just for a class and you kind of have to create something. I don't feel like you have all of that pressure of like, okay, I have to paint this still life. You don't put so much of your heart into it. So I felt like it gave me a lot of time to just practice and experience new things. But now it's time to move on to the finer details. So I'm admiring these new brushes that my husband got me, and now I'm going on to the next layer, which I don't know if you're counting. I try to keep track of how many layers I add and try to find defining moments of those layers, but things just kind of blend into each other. I just keep adding things on top of other things I've already painted, and it just kind of all transforms over time slowly. You think, okay, she's painted that 50 times. Yes, you're right. But I don't know. I just keep painting until I feel like it's done. And that's like not a helpful metric at all, but I don't know. It's just like you find out where you want to take something and you try your best to take it in that direction. For my colors on this painting, I wanted the colors to be super me, which if you can guess the colors that would represent me, it's probably pink, blue, and purple. I just seem to always go back to that color palette. So I decided to use a lot of those colors, but I did try to make the shoes a little bit peachy as well to really contrast the background, which is going to be a turquoise and blue color. And right now I'm just trying to finish adding in all of the shading and dimension and highlights that I want. It was really helpful that in the case of this painting, I had a clear image in my head of what I wanted this painting to look like, which can sometimes actually hurt you because if you have this image in your head that you're not able to replicate in real life, that hurts. But I felt like I had a clear image of what I wanted the colors to look like, what I wanted the vibes to give, not necessarily a complete picture of like, this is the image that I want it to look like, but I just knew the vibes that I wanted it to give and the color scheme. I wanted it to look really magical and whimsical and dreamy and have some contrast. So that was really helpful and helped me know which directions to take things in. Like I knew I wanted to make these details more fine and make the back of this heel darker just to add in some contrast and dimension and try to make it look realistic but still painted. I like when you can tell that a painting is painted. I love a good realism, realistic, super crazy, awesome, you can't even tell it's a painting moment, but I just really like the art style of when you make something known that it was created by a person and not just a captured picture or something like that, if that makes sense. Photography is amazing, it's a whole nother thing, but I'm just talking about in terms of painting. I just really like when you can see the creative process behind the painting. I'm not sure if any of that made any sense at all, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. And now it's just time to repeatedly redo things, highlight things, shade things more where I think that they need to be. I definitely like to add a lot of highlights and sparkles in my art, especially in this because I wanted the ballet slippers to have a very reflective and shiny effect and just look very soft and almost like they were made out of silk, which I'm not sure what they are made out of. I'm not sure if that's what is safe to dance in, but that was the vibes that I was going for in this picture. Just a really pretty and magical and reflective moment. And once I had the shoes in a place where I was almost completed with them, then it was time to work on the background, which initially I wanted to do clouds in the background, but I felt like clouds would really take away and distract from the main focal point, which is obviously the ballet slippers. So I decided instead to just add in a little bit of a feathery texture of different colors in the background, and then my camera fell, which I thought was too funny not to leave in the video. And then after that, it was time to just start adding in even more dark colors at the bottom. I wanted there to kind of be an ending point or to look like there was some type of floor. I also knew that for the background, I wanted the shoes to kind of reflect. I'm not sure what they're reflecting off of. I just wanted it to look super glassy and kind of crystal-like and have a reflection. I was really not sure where this was going to go. I initially was going to create kind of a floor to it, which was why I added the darker colors, but I also really didn't do that. I just kind of blended everything out. But my husband said that they looked like they were on top of glass and like reflecting in that way, and I felt like that was really pretty. So I think that it all worked out in the end. And then I wanted to create these really pretty ribbons kind of flowing off of the shoes, which were actually really hard to want to create after I felt so close to being done, but I added in some shadows and shading around them to really make them pop. And then I used a really smooth gradient, adding in those peach colors again. And yes, I do put my paintbrushes in my mouth. I only use them, don't worry. I can't justify it. It's just what happens, and Yeah, anyway, then I decided to kind of create some diffused white spots to create some shiny, shimmery lights around this. I thought this would look better than my usual little sparkle patterns and habits, which don't worry, I added those too. I put those all over the shoes and added in little twinkles and stars and made them look shiny in the highlighted parts to add a little bit more of a magical effect to that as well. But now it was time to just add in the finishing details and finishing touches on everything, add in the last minute sparkles, fix up the last minute designs. Nothing major was changing at this point. I was feeling pretty happy with how it was looking, and then it was time to judge it from afar. My husband brought me my glasses so I could take a step back and look at it from a distance and see how it all came together. I diffused a little bit more light around the shoes, and then the painting was complete. The last step was to sign it, which is the scariest part in my opinion. I never know where to put my signature. I kind of dabbed it off a little bit just to make sure it blended in, and then I also dated it because I always like to know when I created art in the future. I'll want to look back and know when it was made, and then I also just wrote my signature and anchored art designs, and here is the final piece. I also sealed it with varnish and painted the edges to make it a completed painting. No more touch-ups, no more redos, and here is the finished result. I'd love to know what you think about this painting, and comment down below how long you think that it took me to paint it. I'm curious to know what you would guess, but I am super excited about it. This canvas has been in my closet for literally years, and now it's transformed into this beautiful painting with all of these contrasts and beautiful ballet slippers that highlight this beautiful design and aesthetic. But let me know what you think about this, and let me know if you'd like to see me paint more original paintings. It really is one of my favorite things to do, and I'm excited to get back into it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!